right, welcome. It is Tuesday, and hope you had a great weekend. Listen, we're going to get right into about when they capture an alien. And this happened probably long before a lot of you were born, because it happened long before I was born. But I think it's time for us to bring people up to speed about what's going on and why things are happening and why they're preparing for things today. We'll get into that. But the main thing is we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what most people, I will say, no one really knows what happened after that Roswell crash, but we're going to go into it tonight. I'm going to share with you some information that I think you are going to really get a kick out of it, because it's going to educate you on what's really happening. But listen, because the real story starts with when they capture one alive. They actually captured an alien alive, and what that alien said, and you hear me again, and what that alien said, told them, gossip, whatever you want to call it, changed everything. So by the end of this live stream tonight, listen, you're going to discover the U.S. government learned from what they learned from the live extraterrestrials. So I'm going to go in that a little bit. I'm going to touch on that because the rest of it that I'm going to get into is going to be live tomorrow night on my personal channel. You know, this is Forbidden Knowledge. I'm here every Tuesday, but I have my personal channel called Roderick Martin, and you can Google that or whatever you want to call it, YouTube it, whatever, but you definitely can find me here. You just type in Roderick Martin and you will come to my channel, and make sure you subscribe there as well. Listen, also you're going to find out tonight how it led to secret treaties with non-human entities. All right, and you might have heard a little bit about it, but we're going to touch on it a little tonight, and why most men in America, and let me say powerful men, and okay, and they got their wives and women too in America, quietly began preparing for the end of the world when they heard all this information. And they're doing it today. You know, I talk about that all the time. If you watched a lot of the Nibiru stuff that I did all last week on my channel and here last Tuesday in a 4-part series, we talked about them building bunkers and all of that stuff. So we're going to get into where it all began. See, because they heard it, right? Not from the past or whatever. They heard it straight from an alien. And I got the documents or information that I will share with you tonight. And so we're going to get into it. So once again, give a shout out to all of you that are here, and welcome. All right. So first of all, let me start by saying, let's go back to the day we brought one of these alien in alive. I'm talking about the big secret keepers, the government, all of those people. So you know who I'm talking about. He was taken, all right, and from the 1947 Roswell crash, all right, and they named him EBE, all right. This had been suggested by Dr. Vanner Bush and was short term for extraterrestrial biological entity. So when you heard me tonight say anything else about EBE, you know I'm talking about extraterrestrial biological entities. And so we will keep that going. But now here's the surprising part of not just the crash, but when they captured this alien. And I wouldn't really say capture, because he crashed. I'm sure it was others on there that did not make it. So he's probably was an easy catch, because when they come here with all the superior technology and all this stuff, they're not getting rounded up like Animal Planet. Okay, so it's not happening like that. So obviously he had to be injured. I would assume something to the fact of that was going on. But interestingly, EBE, as you will hear from now on, extraterrestrial biological entity. So you know that. I won't have to go through all that long pronunciation, because you know how I do with my grammar box and letter boxes and all that stuff. So EBE had a tendency to lie. And for over a year, he will give only the desired answers to the questions asked. Now, this makes it real interesting, because we always wondered who or what are the aliens like? Are they like us? Or are they like this? Or all of those things? And it's just one of those things that we would have to look at. Pray 7, super sticker, $49.99. Thank you very much. But listen, I appreciate it. Whoa, that's a lot of laughter there. Let me cut that off. There we go. But anyway, a lot of applause to you. I appreciate it. Once again, as we do what we're doing. But anyway, tomorrow, once again, as y'all know, tomorrow and Thursday, I have my own personal channel too. Listen, here's where I'm going to say. So EBE would lie. So where I was alluding to, until I had the shock factor of that huge super chat there, it was like we would say, oh, they like us. Well, heck, if the alien is lying and it knows to lie, and it is a higher, supposedly intelligent, right? And it already knows to lie. Don't feel so bad. You should not feel bad if you caught yourself into a lie. Now, you shouldn't lie to your loved ones, but you get what I'm saying. You should not feel too bad if the alien is lying and supposed to be a higher. Obviously, the lie supposedly works. But anyway, over a year, he would only give desired answers. And then ultimately, those questions, which would have resulted in undesirable answers, went unanswered because they was grilling him. They wanted to know all these different things, where you come from, how this. And I'm sure somebody had to ask him, who is God? Who created us? Does Jesus Christ exist? Now, I got a surprise for you later on in the show of some answers that just may answer that for you based on what we're going to be talking about tonight, because why leave that part out? But anyway, you got to stick around for that. Listen, all right. He also said that at some point, and let me go back for a minute. What was he really hiding? That would be the thoughts that I would have in this scenario. Or what was he protecting? Because those are the two things that you're going to be lying about, right? You're going to either lie about this or that. Either you're hiding something or you're protecting something, one or the other. In our case as humans, and an alien is either lying or protecting. I don't think that's in our best interest at some time, but hey, who knows? We'll just keep on going down with this. At some point, though, during the second year, so here it is, we got this alien captured, holding them in captivity, and we're going into the second year. And you want to believe, and I've said it before, that they're coming here in peace, and they're coming to save the human race, and they're here in Galactic Federation. Some of them come in here in a pissed off fashion because we done helped their comrades, and they're coming back looking for them like you would do if I was lost on Mars. You've seen a movie somewhere, and you're going to be like, let's go save Roderick. Let's bring him home. And now you find out them Earthlings have captured him and whatever they're doing, torturing, probably asking questions, definitely not feeding them McDonald's and food that we eat, because the aliens ain't doing that. You get what I'm saying? So obviously it's a tumultuous time for this being here. But at some point during the second year of captivity, he began to open up, and the information derived from EBE was startling. Now, tomorrow night, as we're going to be showing a book that a lot of people don't talk about it because we just don't, but I'm going to show you where you can get it, buy it. It was the lady who actually was assigned to EBE, who he began to talk to when she passed away. She had some secret files sent to a journalist about the whole ordeal, and she wrote and released all of the conversations, the things that the alien told us about Earth and all of that. We'll go into that in detail tomorrow on my personal channel, Roderick Martin, Truth versus Authority. You can find that. But listen, we're just setting this up for tonight here for you to kind of go there. And I want to put that out there because what I'm about to tell you here next. The EBE, the compilation as a revelation, became the foundation of what later was called the Yellow Book. If you've been into the ufology, if you've been into the UFO world like I have, you will find that there's something called a Yellow Book that's out there. Now, the Yellow Book is supposedly be a diagram, not a diagram, but a device that was able to show the past, the future, even the crucifixion. And I'll talk about that of Jesus and all of this stuff and who did it or whatever. So obviously we're in this matrix of things, supposedly, because in order for it to show the past, the future, and the present, and also be determined, and it's probably where the Bible says there's nothing new under the sun, right? And maybe it's not. Maybe just like David Icke talks about, that we're in some type of global matrix, that we all a part of this thing together. You know, we're all there is, has been, and ever can be. We are that, right? Or that I am, or this that is. You know, I'm just giving you some context that supposedly we're in this mind of God. So if they got a Yellow Book that, like an iPad, I'm using for an example, that they can scroll through and see what happened, has happened, is going to happen, and people got a hold to that already. So I think that's something. But anyway, real quickly, so do you know, I've been on a lot of UFO shows. I was featured on Open Minds or interview with Regina Meredith on Gaia. George Norrie. I was on his show as an African-American UFO investigator. I hosted that show on Alien Endgames. I was on Fox Tubi, Forbidden Knowledge. Gaia, like I said already, Ancient Aliens featured me. So when you hear me tell you about some alien stuff, I ain't just talking. I'm just not talking. So glad you're here so you understand the pedigree when we go into this unusual conversation tonight as we continue. I just wanted to throw that out there. Sometimes I don't toot my own horn, but hey, why not? I did it. I've done it. I've been on TV 11 times. Okay, shows and all that. I got books coming out. So why not talk it, right? The Sugar Honey Iced Tea. About me. All right, listen. Okay, so here's the deal. And just wait till you hear what that yellow book contained. I'm going to go into it a little bit. In 1951, like I say, before a lot of you were born, and before I was born too. All right, okay. EBE became ill. All right. Of course, why wouldn't he? And medical professional had been able to determine the cause or unable because they really didn't know why he was getting ill. So it was decided that an expert on botany they called in, the name was Dr. I think it's Mero is what I wrote, Mendoza. And he worked on him until mid-1952 when EBE died. And it makes sense. We have no way to understand a future extraterrestrial being's body composition and all of this stuff and how we're going to use modern day medicine to help an advanced civilization. And also, though, we saw in the movie War of the Worlds that when some alien bodies come to Earth and then they encounter our microbiology or microorganisms and all that stuff, it is a foreign thing to them and it can kill them just as well because they're not prepared or being conditioned for what we have, and which is said to why some of the extraterrestrial or those reptilians and all that live beneath the earth, because up here it's a little unbearable for them to do so. Not the hybrids and shapeshifters. I didn't say that. We're talking 100%ers when it comes down to that. But anyway, Dr. Mendoza had became an expert on alien biology. Why not? You the first one to work on an alien. Wouldn't you not become the expert? And then if I was working on an alien for 2 years and nobody else ever have, well, that's a hell of a tag. But that doesn't mean that you call him when an alien is sick, right? No, and the same thing with practicing medicine on us. We call them doctors. Anyway, but listen, I'm saying just because he worked on that alien, that's what it was, and pretty much from there. All right, so they realized EBE wasn't like us, you think, all right? And so his system was chlorophyll based, and being that was a breath of light, or actually was the light. He was like a light being. And we know that they talk about us being the spiritual light beings anyway. And then they also said it wasn't oxygen, that the life form was built on plant biology. Now, that's very interesting for you to take with you in your learning-based knowledge about these aliens. In fact, I got a gray alien head right behind me there. I keep his eyes turned because if I turn him this way, the camera will focus on his face because it focuses on eyeballs, you know. But anyway, plant biology is what they were saying, because there was in the book that we're going to talk about tomorrow that everybody should have, because we've been keeping it a secret for years, okay? They talk about that the food that the alien would eat was kind of like a green mesh, and they would just rub it on their skin and they would absorb it. And that's how the aliens fed, because they really didn't have mouth and ears and all the stuff that we have, the mechanisms. Either they are more for advanced, or they figured out we don't need to eat hamburgers and hot dogs and all those things to survive. But it was plant-based. Here's the deal. So hint, hint, maybe that's something we all need to begin to think about. The aliens has a plant biology is what they were saying. And because of chlorophyll. Now, chlorophyll, I've studied too, in more of a thing that is supposed to be pretty good for our bodies to whatever. In fact, I bought some a couple of years ago, but now that I'm going over the story, it may be even more interesting to look into. All right, so in the futile attempt to save EBE, early in 1952, we began broadcasting a call for help into the vast regions of space, and it was claimed the call went unanswered. I'm going to pause there for a moment, because here's where the story gets a little weird, okay? We got to start paying attention to what you see in the movies, because they don't just make this stuff up. Hollywood is kind of a visual into what is really happening. And sometimes there's good people in Hollywood that try to give us messaging and they try to tell us what's going on, but they put it in a movie. And when they do that, it allows the big secret keepers to say, well, don't y'all believe it, public, because you just saw this in a movie. How many movies have we heard, seen, and watched that they sent some type of message to outer space and they answer and they showed up to whoop some kick butts, right? We've seen that countless of times. Now here, because of the documentation, they said, well, when they sent the message out because they're looking to help him, I don't know what they did or whatever. And I'm sure they could have told him the same thing that you all saw if you was my age, ET phone home. You get what I'm saying? So I'm sure he could have given them the right address, the right place to look, send the signal to call his comrades. And why would you do that? That's the other part. So that's one of the things for them. But they said went unanswered. We don't believe that because later on after 1947, we had all kinds of spacecraft coming to visit this planet. Remember, 1947 was kind of like the pinnacle, the beginning. But after that, years come, we had all types of UFOs showing up. And they trying to say they didn't answer, or did they make a mistake by saying, hey, we send this signal out? But what we were ignored, or the question is, were we watched? Because now I think we have been watched because they knew where we were. Even in that movie, The Three, whatever, recently, when they sent the signal out, whoever the alien responded and said, hey, don't do this because I got the signal right now. But my boys, if they get it, they coming for y'all, you know. And of course, it took 300 or 400 years in the movie sense, but still, we're sending signals out to people like whatever. And also, real quickly on the news recently, I know I got the social media text, but somebody said that the satellite spotted civilization lights on a planet or a star somewhere. I mean, like lights, like street lamps, lights type stuff, lights, like nighttime lights somewhere. Go look it up. You can Google it and find it yourself. All right, listen. The part two of this was NASA, which we all know who they are, or the NSA. Let me go back. NSA and NASA, but NSA, the National Security Agency, which we all want to know what their function. We got the CIA, we got the NSA, we got the FBI, but the NSA was created for aliens because they listen to everything. That's why they got that thing up in the mountains over there and all that. They can, wherever in Utah or whatever, if you ever drove by that place, you look up there, they got antennas that are probably listening to everything you said last night in your bedroom. You get what I'm saying? And okay, I know everybody ain't making noise. Everybody's not making noise. For the ones who did, then I'm just letting you know. All right, so President Truman created the NSA by a secret executive order November the 4th, 1952. Its primary purpose then was being to decipher the alien communication and their language and establish a dialogue with aliens. So ever since 1952, we've been trying to make contact. And I don't know why that when you start thinking about disclosure, the government stuff today and all this, well, we don't know nothing. We don't know who's here. And you wonder why they keep coming, because we're the one telling them we are here, come visit us or whatever, man. And they're coming. And when they do come and they see some people like some of you good, healthy looking people that's walking around in perfect shape and beautiful, vegetable eating bodies. I mean, you're luscious, man. Remember, they're plant-based. So people like me, they don't want me, you get what I'm saying? I'm gonna make myself viable for them in the future. I'm trying to work on it, but for you, I know you looking all good and, eating all the vegetables. So I'm just telling you, you're making yourself viable because they have a plant biology. They like that healthy stuff. So anyway, proud of you being healthy. I'm trying to get there too. So I'm just letting you know, I'm not talking bad at you. Just some humor for tonight. So let's go with that. But listen, but where I'm going with this is that the NSA was created to establish dialogue with aliens. And believe me, start Googling the NSA. They've been around. They got a huge budget annually. So they're using it. They're getting that stuff for these aliens or communications and all of this stuff. And so it's very important for people to begin to learn all these different principles of the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, the SCA, all of them. They all have different uses and everything else. And Kevin says the NSA was created during the Cold War. It was created to protect us from communication. Hey, listen, I'm not saying when you don't have an organization based on communication that they can't overlap, but go look up not the history of what they say publicly, get some documents, send me an email, and I'll send you the original charter of the NSA from President Truman when he did it. So you will know, yeah, for the public sense, because they did not want aliens to be existed, Kevin. And so they wouldn't have told people what it was for. They had to pass it through Congress and the financial side to say, hey, this is for the war to spy on them. But it was really designed to look at the aliens. Now, it does have the capability to spy everywhere else too, and CIA does, and everyone else does. But that's what it was originally for. Go look it up and add it to that. So you're partly both right on that. Okay, let's go with that. All right, so this was a continuation of an earlier effort of codename Sigma. So look up that, called Sigma. The secondary purpose of the NSA was to monitor communications in emissions from any other devices worldwide for the purpose of gathering intelligence, both human and alien. So that's why I was saying that to tie that in for you. It initially was for aliens, and then they knew they can, listen to humans and stuff too. All right, but by executive order, the NSA is exempt from all laws which do not specifically name the NSA in the text of the law. I mean, let's just put that in perspective. We have government organizations that we fund, we the people, that has the power to go unnoticed, but to violate the rights possibly that we have. And I want to say she can add to this. Go ahead. I'll put it up on the screen when you do. So if I pronounce your name right. So we have this thing to where they can just bypass the rules and laws, but we pay for this though, right? We fund it, we vote on it, and we don't care until it happens to us individually, and then there's a problem. So these things can go rogue when they do this. So the most important surveillance agency on Earth is legally untouchable because it was born from the alien problem. So this is how they did it. And like I said, they do a lot of this stuff now. They do a lot of this stuff now when it comes down to it, but you can go look into it. So they're untouchable because their mandate or their organization charters, whatever you want to call them, was for alien purpose. And so therefore it can umbrella or supersede the human existence side of things. All right, so let's go back to a few things that I want to bring to your attention. Let's talk about the first secret treaty. This is what a lot of people today don't talk about because we don't talk about it, right? And if you're new to aliens or you're young in your 30s and 20s and 40s, you don't have a clue unless you watch this stuff. I'm saying that there was a treaty made to why that some abductions was happening and still is. And you would think that, okay, the big secret keepers are here to protect us, but they're saying, no, these people are not really, we own everyone who's born. If you knew that you're part of the corporation of the United States, you were given up at birth to do this so they can do whatever they want with their corporate assets, right? That's a whole nother twist. However, but what I'm saying is that they wrote these deals. If you give us information or technology, you can pick up a few of them every now and then and just don't let us know about it and do whatever you want. And why would they want that? Because we were curious. They sent out a signal and these people was like, okay, fine, let's do this. So this is the thing that you should know, why they can do whatever they want to us and go look all that stuff up. Like I said, it's a whole sidebar conversation of the legitimacy of what they are, who we are, or the corporation of, all of that stuff. That's a whole nother conversation, but it ties into why the rights and things when it comes to alien tech and all this stuff. And we're just pawns in all of this, right? And we have always been. Project Sigma was successful. The NSA also maintains communication with the lunar base and other secret programs. And the lunar base is up there on the moon. and things that people say don't exist, or we don't have a moon, or it's a flat earth, or it's all this. Now, I'm not saying the moon is not a hollow object or some type of, surveillance device or whatever, but, we do have what they call the far side of the moon that always stay far over there and all those things. So that's a whole nother conversation, when it comes down to that, pretty much. So anyway, there is an alien race that came up in this information. And the race was known as the Nordics. So write that down so you can do a little Googling on that. Now, these people are supposed to be part of the Galactic Federation that everybody talks about that's here to save us and all those things. And pretty much, and somebody remind me later, I'm going to give you the reason why they're not saving us, why they're not coming here to save us. I told a story last night on my channel, but I know a lot of you would be fresh to you, and I'll tell you the story so that you, if you one of these people that's walking around that, hey, they're going to be here to save us, they're not here to harm us. Man, they've been abducting and doing things to us since the beginning of time, and it ain't friendly if you're the one who's been getting abducted. And so therefore, they're not here to say we're going to save Earth. That is not the foundation of their deal. This is a project planet, always been a project planet. The species, the different things, and it's almost like a safari to them when they come, and we act like those animals anyway. So that is something there. But let me continue. The Nordics warned us not to deal with the Greys and stated. And so let me go here for a minute and kind of put up some things that I wanted to bring in fruition. This is one of the EBEs, extraterrestrial biological entities. This is what they look like. It was about 4 feet tall, and they wasn't big. Now, there was a rumor that they were more than that when it came down to it, when they did some of these different autopsies, and we'll talk about that later on here as I bring it up. And I almost forgot that I had these visuals for you. So I'll make sure that I bring those in, but make sure somebody in about 10 minutes put in the chat, remind me to tell you the story why they are not coming to save us. Okay. In fact, they might be a little upset with us, and we can tell that. But somebody remind me. If y'all don't, then I'll skip it. But if it comes across the chat, then that'll be good. So the Nordics said, don't trust the Greys, and stated that the Greys were deceiving us and had a hidden agenda. They demanded that now the Nordics, or they demanded that we disarm and destroy all nuclear weapons as a major condition. They refused to exchange technology due to the fact that we were spiritually unable to handle it. Let's pause right there for a minute. The aliens said, number one, y'all need to dismantle the nuclear weapons. Now, we already hearing that in the press today, that our country saying that country shouldn't have any, and blah, blah, blah. And it's one of those things, And they also said that we're not spiritually ready to handle it, their technology. And we think that in more of a regular terms, we when we think of technology, we're thinking of our iPhones, flat screen TVs, self-driving cars, and things like that. But make no mistake about it, that is not really true tech. That's control mechanisms, right? True tech was before our ancestors could talk to each other in the jungle without phones, telepathy. True tech was when they get, or spiritually that they're saying, was when they can move rocks and things by they all concentrating. True tech was when they could pray in their minds and heal each other's bodies or our bodies or all of these things. That was the technology which they have deprived us from those things today and dumbing us down by using and counting on these things versus us. And this is why you hear people talk about spiritual ascension or getting in touch with the Most High or consciously evolving yourself to get back to this way of being able to understand your true essence, right? And so while we're using these things that I'm using and we're looking at it as great technology and where we're going to be tomorrow, it's really a reverse angle because we don't really need these things. These things were built and designed for control. And those are the things and go from there. Does anyone know how much time I missed? You missed 30 minutes and 23 seconds. Liberty and Ferry. That's how much. All right, so let me continue. John says funny as we is in who they deal with the elites and not the majority, which goes against the narrative. Makes no sense for these beings. It does make sense, John, to why they deal with the elites, and they're going to deal with people in power and control to be able. It's the whole essence of life, right? But we will go to that pretty much from there. All right, so let's keep going. And listen, for station identification, welcome to Forbidden Knowledge. If you got here, I'm here every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Only on Tuesday. I'm Roderick Martin. Again, the host of the podcast Truth versus Authority, which you can find on YouTube on my personal channel. That I'm there Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and sometime Tuesday after shows. I won't do one tonight, but I'll be over tomorrow. And if you want more of what I do and you enjoy it, then I'm there all week, okay? But I'm only here on Tuesday. So just know that you can go. There's a link in the description to subscribe to my personal channel. Or if you Google into YouTube and my name, Roderick Martin, you're going to see this screen pop up. That is my channel. And I talk about reptilians, shapeshifters, all that kind of stuff, man. And so if you want to go into some deep stuff, then you're welcome to come over and do that. All right, Tony says rockin' too. All right, then let's roll it. All right, so let's continue. The treaty with the Greys. A treaty was negotiated, and you should know this, right? For those of you, this should give you just a little taste of why things are happening, why abductions happen, and why ain't much going on about it, okay? A treaty, and now I don't literally have the definition of a treaty, but what that means is agreement, and meaning you get this, I get this, you do this and do that. It's not a prenup like a marriage, maybe, who knows? But anyway, it's a treaty. It was negotiated, which stipulated is the rules of this thing, that the aliens would not interfere in our affairs. So right there, we can stop everything now on their coming to save Earth. If an agreement was done, whether it's galactically or some type of species, the reptilians, well, they violated the treaty. That's why they're manipulating, hybriding, and shape-shifting and taking over stuff. And supposedly why the new Nibiru is coming back, the Anunnaki and all that, to straighten all this mess out, that's a whole big deal. But the Greys or whoever, they signed a deal and said, hey, we're not going to do this, all right? And they stipulated that they won't interfere with what's going on in Earth. This is why when we see what's happening in these other countries and these wars and all these things, and people are like, well, why don't the aliens come and stop it and stop? They don't care about that. There's 5 billion people here. We care because they're humans. That's the part that we have that they don't have. That's the biology of humans that we have that they don't. But they will not interfere with the affairs, and we will keep their presence on Earth a secret. 2 deals. Keep them a secret, and they're not going to interfere. But listen to this. They would furnish us with advanced technology and would assist us in our technological development. And in return, let me pause right there before I give y'all what the deal was. Now, this is the people we voted for. The big secret keepers is what I call them. The people that, or for the people that say that, human rights and all this. These are the 2 parties, the A side, the B side, and they're all going against each other. If you're into symbolism, look up the fasci symbol, know what that means. Go to the House of Representatives. You're going to see it's one on both sides, meaning they're on the same team. We're just being played. I know it's not politics, and we're not getting into that because I don't talk about that. I'm bridging it in so that when I tell you what the deal was made by those people that are supposedly be protectors of us, then that should shock you enough so that your kids run for presidents or whatever and change this deal, change the treaty. Now, don't get me wrong, and sake of national security, your kid may grow up and say, Mom, I was going to change it, but I think we still need to keep that deal in place. So let me tell you what The deal was made by these people, okay? So let me put them on there right now. In return for giving us advanced technology like stealth fighters, lasers, Velcro, things that we talk about, wireless technology, where this can be sent through the phone and it comes back almost like the Star Trek thing. In return, the Greys were allowed, I'm not trying to be a lawyer, but I want you to understand what I'm about to tell you, because this is going to let you know, don't even worry about it now. Or what's the movie, Shane? Don't believe him, Bernard. Don't believe him. Whatever. The Greys were allowed to abduct humans for medical examination with the stipulation that the people will not be harmed and will not be returned to their point of abduction. People, this is as real as it gets. Code red, if that's what you want to know. This is why I tell my audience on my channel, when you see an alien in your backyard or he land his craft, go the other way. Don't be over there talking about welcome to Earth. It's not like that. It's not like that. If they're coming for you, they're coming for you. If they're sitting there and that plane lands somewhere out in the middle and you driving in the desert, you're and your girl and the kid and your kids with you, and that big old aircraft fly down in front of y'all, don't be parking, getting out, turning about, look it to the light, baby, and everything else. Now, I want you to consider something, all you men, protectors, and everything else in this deal. When they do tell you to step out that vehicle, those aliens, and they say we want to take young Roderick, your young son, with them, listen, you as the man, the protector, the person in charge, you look at your girl and you tell her, listen, we got some options here. And as she's sitting there going, don't want to take baby John with them, you say, first you want to check and see if your things is there. You still got your cojones, because you get ready to man up right now. When that alien part, you're going to look at her and say, baby, my stuff still works. I can make another kid. Let him take him. I don't know him that well. He ain't but 6 years old. He just got here. Maybe this is his destiny, because you're not going to win that battle. You're just not going to win if they're coming. And they got a deal, and you can't go call the government and be like, whatever. I know y'all didn't see that coming. All right. Okay. Listen, just run. That's all I'm trying to say. Y'all was like, what? I know we thought we were going to fight back and get the gun out. It's not going to work, against that spacecraft and all that. But just look at your girl. Say, hey, listen, we can make more babies. You know what I'm saying? Little John has a purpose, and he's only 6 years old. He hadn't been here that long. You know what I'm saying? And plus, he always say he don't even know if we his parents, and both of us be looking at each other like, I didn't make that baby. He acting like somebody I don't even know. You get what I'm saying? Y'all, let's go take it to consideration. You got to take that consideration, because in return, they were allowed to abduct humans for medical examination with stipulations that they will not be harmed. That's what they said. And would be returned to their point of abduction. That has never happened. That has never happened. People don't get brought back. And when they do, they're messed up in the head. Or they've been probed, and now they, going through this other stuff, this puffy stuff. You get what I'm saying? It's not friendly. The stuff, I've been doing this. I've interviewed countless of people. None of them come back with the happy story of an alien abduction. They're terrified. They're traumatized. It changed their entire life, their family lives. It is not a pretty picture. It's just really not. So if you walking around here talking about let this thing over here and park in my yard and welcome to Earth and blah, 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 I'm telling you, that's not what's happening. And this is why it is a problem today. Okay? It is. All right. I just put that out there right now. Let me see. We're talking about 100 men versus one gorilla. I ain't fighting no alien. I hear you, brother. You with me, right? Melvin is with me. You know what I'm saying? Melvin is with me right here. You know what I'm saying? David talking about they can't have little Johnny. What? Shoot. He like, they can't have little Johnny. They're gonna take all of you, and then they're gonna take Johnny with them after they finish you anyway. You just tell Johnny, kiss him and say, I'm going to make a new one and we can do this, right? Because you can't stop it. You just can't. And nobody has been. You ain't been, obviously, clearly. You ain't been taken out, obviously. So clearly there are no good forces. What do you mean by that? I don't know. He said that's the demonic forces is the reason why there are people like you able to speak on it. Yeah. Well, it is. There are some bad stuff out there, brother. I know what you mean. You know what I'm saying? It's some bad stuff when it comes down to that. All right, so let me continue with the story, though, okay? Now, in exchange, also, let me back up. But they lied. The aliens lied, okay? And see, I just got ahead of my own dissertation here, but they lied. They lied because they did not keep their end of the bargain when it came down. In exchange, the aliens agreed to furnish MJ-12, if you ever remember them, with a list of all human contacts and abductees on a regular basis. You get what I'm saying? So they are talking about, like, now you tell us who you taken and got a list. So supposedly when your family member out in the middle of nowhere come up missing and we're talking about this is one of those things. And now let me tell you something. Now we do know that there's other things happening, trafficking and all that stuff. We know this exists. And in fact, when they did the alien thing recently, and this is a quick detour, the guy said that they were seeing humans being put into aircraft that looked like aliens, but they was run by humans, anti-gravity. That's the technology, okay? Because they're one of those things there. But again, I'm going to remind you and give you a story why these aliens are not going to save us, okay? Somebody let me know in 5 minutes. I will tell you. He said, you're doing the right thing, but don't blame all the extraterrestrials. Hold on to the Yeah, you know what? I talk about that on my channel, One Man Army, when I go into those things, the reptilian, the demonic stuff in deep. That's my whole channel is about that. So I'm gonna put it on the screen real quick. You'll see what I'm talking about. So if you look up there, my banner on YouTube, I'm talking about those forces and everything else. In fact, without a shadow of doubt, this is why y'all see my brand is this necklace, this owl. This is the luminous owl. This is, my trademark is the symbolizer. I talk about symbolism, and the symbolism of the owl is for us to see in the dark, okay? In fact, I talk about it religiously, and this is it. The luminous is more than a symbol. It's a bond. It's us who sees in the dark, who don't wear it for fashion. We wear it because you remember who you are, watched by none and we're watching everything. We have to know our eyes are useless when our mind is blind. We do see it, and I practice it, and that's why I do talk about those things a lot. So again, you can go over to my channel throughout the week, go through my videos. You will see what he's talking about. I have right now, one of the first videos up there is about the demonic stuff that they're doing, and anyway, so you're right on point. I just don't talk about it here, so we will get to that from here. You don't wear copper. I have some. Yeah, I do. I have some. All right, I have some copper stuff in there. This is stuff because I my audience, I offer these to the audience. The luminous change. And if you all want one, you can get one. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, we do. But anyway, let me continue because we've got a little while to go here. And I meant to be here an hour, but we might here be a little longer. Okay. All right. So the other part of it was the treaty in exchange with the list with MJ-12 was that they was going to give them a list of who they all been taken, but they don't. But the abductions increased and the list stopped coming. So they broke their treaty. Now, the reason why the list, I think, stopped coming, because it ain't just one aliens out there. You should know that, right? There's tons of different species that come and do their thing here. And so we just thought the first ones that we met were the ones we was making a deal with. And of course, we already knew that the gray people were lying. So it was easy for them to manipulate us to think they were the only ones out there and everything else, but that is not the case. So they kept abducting people. And what I'm going to talk about next, we'll go deeper into some of the things that was happening. The other part was they had this the underground bases and mutilations began. I talked a lot about that yesterday, so I won't go into the deep, but if you want to talk about how they was mutilating people, taking their genitals and all those things, we go to my personal channel and watch yesterday's video. But underground bases were built for the graves. They was first constructed under the mesa near Dulce Airport in New Mexico. Dulce, New Mexico. That is going to be the whole theme for tomorrow's show, because there was a war. It was a fight, and 66 people were killed, unalived. Is that what we want to call it? The guy, remember, he showed how they shot his fingers off with the alien ray guns and all that. Snyder. We're going deep in that tomorrow, all of that. So this is just kind of luring us into that, but that was one of the deals. Yes, that base would have later become the infamous of what's called the Dulce Massacre. Okay, that's the whole theme for tomorrow, but that's not it yet. But large number of human and animal mutilations began to occur, and it became obvious that the aliens had deceived us again. And so we want to sit here and we want to talk about that scenarios, right? We want to talk about those things, and pretty much. And it's one of those things, you know, it's just pretty much, it's just crazy. John says Ron, which is Rod, right? Roderick. Okay, but I hope he's talking about me. I'll take it. It's making all the sense. I've studied old maps which show the outer lands, as they call it, we're not alone. Other human or beings share this plane with us. Absolutely, man. And you know what? The funny part about that, John, is that a lot of people don't think so. I don't know why on Earth that people just think that this stuff is not what it is. And see, and it goes all the way back, and I'm gonna hit you real quickly. All of, not him, but you all. You wonder why you don't see them. There's a reason why some of these aliens you don't see, although they walk among us. And I know you want to know why, so I'm glad you asked. Well, go back to the Bible itself. And when Genesis chapter 1, verse 26 said, let's make man in our image and the likenesses of ourselves. So when you have a kid and I walk up to you and say, you look just like little John, and you're going to correct me and say, no, little John looks like me. I made him. So we don't recognize them because we look like them. In some cases, we look like them. And so it's easy for them to walk among us at some point. Go look it up yourself. Find out. I'm not toying with you tonight. I'm just telling you, you know. But I'm saying there's others that we don't look like, though. There's some reptilians, there's some stuff that do not look like us. But there are some that walk among us, Nephilims and, you know, Anunnaki hybrids and all that stuff. So just go think about it, you know, when you're looking at this and see for yourself. All right, so let's keep going with what I'm saying. Jen says, in the likeness mean they place their DNA with ours. Jen is correct. Jen is our top, not only researcher, the archiver is what we call her, of the channel, my channel, and also in all our research and everything else. So she knows what she's talking about. You better believe that. I will tell you that. So, and pretty soon you guys are going to get some access to her knowledge. She's going to be coming out teaching some of the most stuff that you can ever believe to hear, because she's been doing this for quite some time and one of the best out there. So be prepared when we talk about that later on in the future here. All right, so listen, the underground basis was constructed in Mexico. And yes, the base will later become, like I said, the Dulce Massacre. Large number of human and animals mutilations began, and things went off course. And the purpose of the abductions to insert a I forgot I put this sugar honey iced tea in here, but I guess I got to read it to you right now. I will start it down the sentence for you. All right, so the purpose of the all right, so let me see if I got my little thing. All right, here we go. The purpose of the abductions was to insert a 3mm spirit device for monitoring, okay? And the Greys explained this as a form of genetic tagging. And sometimes they did it like Puffy did it, right? So I've been wanting to use this forever. This is the first time that I was able to push this button. But those aliens would insert a 3mm spirit device, and you know where it went, some cases, because all the people talked about it. And that's where he got his from. Okay, that's an idea. All right, so let me continue. All right, that was bad. All right, no problem. Listen, all right, so, but the humans were often tortured and manipulated and discarded. Okay. And that is the problem when it comes down to this. The other part is there was a secret relocation of alien tech, flying alien craft at Area 51. If you remember that, these are aliens here at S4 now. The Snowbird crafts is what they was called, the National Reconnaissance Organization. And you got underground bases, all of this stuff. Now, they wasn't just hiding these craft. They were building these programs, spacecraft, reverse engineering, deep earth tunnels, biological labs, biogenetic labs. We already know that exists in teams like Project Pounce and Red Light. Yesterday, I mentioned a whole bunch of different projects that people didn't know about, right? Because these things exist and one moved to the other for other reason. And there's things that how it goes. And from that point, Brooklyn said, I've seen reptilian shapeshift creepy. Dude, I was playing music from Forbidden Knowledge when it happened. And I just remember, can you imagine playing high frequency music than a glitch? 100%. I can agree with you on that. Yep. Wright Patterson is an hour away. What? I need to come there and just see if I can go by there. Clip said vampires are real. You right. There is another story behind vampires, which if you really look deeper into it, they go back to the reptilian stuff agenda, which is just a metaphor for, because we know it's all about blood and all that. And that's where the historic story of vampirism came from. But they are real. Absolutely. So there was also a couple of things here that we're going to talk about. They weren't just hiding those craft. Like I said, they was building these deep tunnels. They're still doing it today. But by the end of the show, you're going to know why they're still doing other things today, right? We talk about that. But here's something that a lot of people didn't know. I'm just going to touch on this a little bit so that you understand this thing is big. If you remember Nelson Rockefeller, right? Who y'all heard of them, right? Know that these people not only are shaping everything that we've had done today from the educational system, all the control mechanism, but they popped up on this alien thing too. So I'm just going to touch on this just a little bit. A major consideration was that the public could not be told. Remember they did the, was it the Condon report or whatever, where they came back and you can look it up, but page 238, I remember distinctly. It said, don't tell the humans, don't tell the public. This is why it all began to be silent anyway, because in the beginning they were saying flying saucers exist. And then they came back and said not. But the Rockefellers also ran the educational system, all of the informational system. And it was decided that they financed the alien project with funds from outside the government. In other words, you call black money, illegal, hidden, untraceable. And it all leads down to what I'm about to say next. So know that these people have their hands in every cookie jar. Now, let me say this for you. The Rockefellers tie all the way back to the 13 original families, if you didn't know that one. I talk about that on my channel. So I talk about a lot of stuff that I don't talk about here on my channel, but on Forbidden Knowledge, but I talk about it on my personal channel. But the Rockefellers is part of the 13 original bloodlines, okay? And you can use the word Illuminati if you want to. However, those 13 original bloodline goes all the way back to Iraq, all of these other places. And those places go all the way back to the giants and to the lizard people, okay? That's why they're called the original bloodline. Of course, you go to Britain, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, you can go into the Collins, which you don't even hear about that family. They're the most treacherous, biggest ones out there. But there are so many of them out there. There's a lot of things that goes that you have to know where these things goes. And of course, if you're interested in that, you will know that. All right, so we talk about black money. I mentioned it, hidden agendas, untraceable, and it all leads to this. Now, this is the part that most people overlook when you think about Rockefellers and their connections, because while everyone is focused on UFOs, Majestic 12 quietly started planning for human survival without humanity. And they were called alternative programs, and there was 3 of them. Now, I'm going to end our show on these 3 because I think it's real important, because 2 of these freaking alternative programs, they are doing it today. This is why I tell people about the bunkers, about everybody buying bunkers today, why they're buying bunkers, why the aliens are not coming to save us, and pretty much all of these things. And because they put in effect the Rockefellers and all these people, now they really shouldn't because they're part now. The original bloodline is not teamed up with the Nordics and all these people. There is a fight among them because a lot of them don't like how they came and have harnessed the power over this human race. And so therefore, because remember, we're kind of this project planet and everything else, and that's just not it. However, like I said, they did 3 alternatives. And those are the things pretty much that we can go into. So before I do that, I have to just kind of go into the show. But anyway, like I said, I am wearing our Luminance gear. The Luminance out, as you say, and Luminance is what it is. You can find that, the shirts and all this stuff. I have a store down there. There's a link, Truth versus Authority.store. You can go there and buy it, download. If you get the book of Sacred Secrets for Information, you got to have this. Everybody's knowing that it's for the understand consciousness and all the things that this teaching, you know, and you can download. It's a download instantly, and you can put it in a little binder like I did. This is all of this for your consciousness and ascension and all that stuff. If you like programming your water, like I do, you can get the what we call a vibrational code from the Tree of Life and literally program your water. And it's in here. You can find that in our store too. It's downloadable. So go check that out and sit your water on top of this and program it there. If you have something you want to share or anything, if you like to get you one of these Luminous, I will put it on the screen. Is you can cash out. You can't buy it in the store, but if you cash out and put your telephone number and your name, I'm going to call you personally from my personal cell phone. And now you got a UFO investigator with you and a conspiracy guy right in your phone. If you see some stuff, pictures, text me and whatever. And I will personally call you, and I will then put it in a package, just like all these people that I'm shipping out in the morning from yesterday as well. And you can be able to do that. And I'll put it up on the screen and real quickly, and then we'll move on with the end of the show. And here's the thing right there. That's the cash out, $ Why the Big Secret, $45. That comes for the chain, the necklace, the pendant, me shipping it to you. And like I said, I want to call you. I want to personally call you. So put your name and telephone number in the cash out. And we have a few of them left. And I will call you tomorrow or text you first to see when is a good time to call you. And then we will talk on the phone, whatever, and share some stuff, man. Let's get down into it and pretty much. But there you go. But like I said, if you don't have Cash App, you can go down to the bottom of the link. There's the Truth versus Authority store where you can get the hats, you can get other shirts, you can get the codes and everything else. All right, so now let's get down to the bottom part of what we're about to say here. And let me bag up a second. The thing that people focus on is UFOs. We talk about stuff that's flying around. Majestic 12 quietly started planning for humanity's survival. This is why you hear so much, let's get off the planet. Let's go to Mars. Let's be an interplanetary species. Let's build bunkers. I told you I'm building a bunker myself, right? And all of these things. And the other part of this is they have what they call alternative programs. So almost it's 3 of them, but 2 of them is in effect. So let's go with the first one. The first alternative plan, this is what they all developed behind the scenes for all of you, us, me, was to use nuclear devices to blow holes in the stratosphere from which heat and pollution could escape into space. And it was decided whether or not to include this in later alternative. But here's the catch. They actually considered nuking the atmosphere as a ventilation system. So they're because being so desperate to fix Earth, they considered punching holes in the sky. The risk was total atmospheric collapse, nuclear fallout, death, but it bought them time. They knew it. Okay, so that's another part. The other one, number 2, was to build a vast network of underground cities, tunnels in which a selected representation of all cultures, occupations would survive, and the rest of humanity would be left to fend for itself up here on the surface. Let that sink in for a minute. Go start looking at videos. You see underground cities, trucks archives. They're being built right now. You see Beyonce, you saw Rick Ross, they're all Mark Zuckerberg. They're building their bunkers for a reason. I don't know when it's happening, and I don't care to know at this point. It could be 100 years from now. It could be when Nibiru returns. It could be whenever. But they're preparing, and they know to go underground, and it's cool. The aliens are there, and everything else. But listen, not all of us. We're talking about a select few. We saw the movie. Was it 2012 or there was another movie that came out that whatever. Anyway, and Ryan's correct. Don't get all scared and fear and all like the end of the world and you know it. I'm not saying that at all. It probably happened 100 years from now. All of us will be gone. But we might come back because we're supposed to be reincarnated anyway, right? So maybe come back. Maybe you build your rich empire right now and come back as an elite and build you a bunker in the future. Because Yellow Book says that we can do that. All right. A select few was pre-chosen, pre-screened, and already relocated. Now, here's the part that no one really talks about. Some of these underground cities was already in operation in the 1980s, and they wasn't just called bunkers. They were fully autonomous survival colonies with food system, weapon vaults, human genetic labs, and you were never invited, and neither was I. And that's a reason for that. There is a reason for that right off the bat when it comes down to this. The third alternative was to exploit alien and conventional technology to build a base on the moon and Mars, and they would evacuate a select few to begin a new future elsewhere. This isn't just science fiction. The treaty gave them propulsion. The secrecy gave them time. And alternative 3 was never a theory. It is in operation currently. And so while the world was told to recycle and vote in parallel, civilization was quietly preparing for liftoff. And now my luminous time has come because I want you to understand this. This is where luminous come, where we shed the light. They've already began 2 and 3. We should know that right now. Go look it up. I don't have to even tell you. Just go look it up. Work began, and they don't discuss it. It's not imagined. They started building them a long time ago. Elon Musk, all of them talks about sending people colonization elsewhere. And everything that has happened next, the secrecy, the sacrifice, the disappearance, the genetic labs beneath our feet, it all begins here on Earth where we are. And the next time we go deeper, and we'll talk about that tomorrow, into the underground nightmare known as the Dulce Base Massacre. I'm going to go into that tomorrow. And so you should, right now, if you can do me a favor, if you enjoy my content, you can subscribe here to Forbidden Knowledge if you haven't done. But I would love to see some of you come over to my personal channel. I have a personal channel, and the name of it is Roderick Martin right here on the screen for you. And all you have to do is go into YouTube and type in my first name, Roderick Martin, the name on the screen, and my channel is going to pop up, and you subscribe to that channel. And that'll be something I will want you to do. And we go deep, we go hard, we talk about a few things that, and like I say, it's a different flavor because I go deep and I talk about some things that a lot of people don't talk about, but that's just my job. That's what I'm supposed to do. And if you do find value in those conversations, I'm trying to reach 25,000 subscribers. We had 400 people from here last week came. That was a phenomenal thing, and I usually don't harp on it as much, and pretty much. But hey, and for those of you who are planning on ordering this, then call me. And when I call you, you got some stuff. Let's talk about it. Maybe you can start, supplying information to the show, what I'm saying, and all those things. And we come together as a unit to really do some things, and pretty much. But it is real out there, people. This is real. It is happening. And I thought it's a good time to start going back over some of this data that they don't talk about. See, they assume that everybody already knew about the stuff I said tonight. And some people heard about some of the stuff, but there is a lot connection to the future that came from this past. And this is why the reason I go into all of that. So with that being said, Legit Creeping said, subscribe. Now, to Roderick Martin, or did you subscribe here as well to Forbidden Knowledge? Let me know, because I'm sure interested to know. Do any of you guys follow Isma Perez? I don't know who that is. Sylvia said they're constantly trying to distract us with wars and court cases, so we stay. That is definitely the truth. That is something that they're doing pretty much there. Daniel said there's nothing to fear what the human spirit having human experience if we decide no, the big deal. Yes, you're correct on that. Jen says the zombie apocalypse underground. I know, right? And it's going to be the little kids that does that, you know, when it comes down. Distractions is the name. All right, so let me tell y'all, do y'all want to hear the story? I know some of you probably already heard it if you heard it yesterday, but the story why there's no aliens going to save us, they're not going to do that. And I'm not saying they didn't try, but they're not going to do it anymore. Do you want to hear that story? Put it in the chat. Give me some ones, and I'll tell it. It takes about 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and I'll end the show after that. And it's just kind of my take on it, my analogy for you. But if you want to hear, just put some ones up. And if you don't, you can go ahead and leave out now and pretty much from there. But if you want to hear, then I'm going to tell you why they're not here to save us. Okay? And like I said, I mentioned it yesterday a little bit. So if you were there yesterday, you're going to hear it again. But if you wasn't, all right, I'm getting some ones. Let me get a few more. Then I'll go. That's the majority want. And I'm going to tell you why they're not coming to save us. And I'm going to invite you to be a part of why. You're going to agree with me, okay? I just know you would. I know you would. All right, so here's the deal. I want you to imagine where you are today in life. Okay, we got some ones. Cool, I appreciate it. I thought we may have just a little more, but that's cool. This is enough. Oh, we got some real ones. All right, so cool. So here's the deal. I want you to imagine you and me, okay? So this is you, this is me. This is T, Emperor, Marcus, Howard, Justy, Sylvia, Simone, Jonathan, Ryan, you know, Divergent, and I'm in the one, all of this is us together. Run, all of us. T, Emperor, this is us together, okay? So you in on this story, Run, me and you. So let's use Run. We're gonna go with you and me. So we look at our life today. We got kids, we got family, you and I, and we're not rich. You get a letter in the mail, an envelope like this because you bought the necklace, right? You get an envelope in the mail. And we open it up and someone says, congratulations, you are now new board members of Exxon Oil Valdez Company. Me and you, Ron, and everyone else. Now, we're happy as Sugar Honey Iced Tea because we know we're going to be billionaires when they put us on that board next week. We're going to call all our families. In most cases, we don't call the exes or whoever and saying, hey, listen, me being 55, 25 times 2 plus 5, if y'all want to know. I don't have a son, so I'm going to call everybody. Hey, I'm ready to make a new baby. I'm going to take care of you. You get what I'm saying. But because I'm going to be a billionaire, so I can have 100 of them, extra 100 if that's what I want. So Ron and I, we all go to the board meeting where we're signing our documents and we are going to be billionaires. Now, we look around us, there's a lot of 80-year-old people that are filthy rich. Their families are rich. Their grandkids are rich because they've been into this money for eons. And you and I and the rest of us is new to the money. And we're excited because next week we're going to go buy some stuff that we couldn't buy this week being here on this podcast. Okay. So that's the tone. Then all of a sudden we get this message that there's somebody want to share something with us. And he walks into this door and it is this guy right here. I'm going to put him on the screen. Him. This alien walks in the door. His name is Akbach from planet Xeon. Okay, way long far away. Akbach comes in to the meeting with us, John, and the old people, everybody's shocked. We all are shocked because it's an alien. But he says, I'm here to help humanity. I'm here to save lives. I'm here to help the human race. And what I'm going to do is give y'all free energy. Everybody's clapping. Free energy, yay, free energy. And the old people are saying their legacy is going to be engraved forever, that they're going to be the people who saved Earth, 5 billion humans, free energy. Now, their families don't care because they're multi-billionaires and billionaires and billionaires. But me and you, we're going to be billionaires next week, the week after. And he's saying, I'm getting ready to give away free energy to save the world. Now, Ron, I don't know about you. I'm like I said, we some cool people. But the clapping for me begins to slow down when I start realizing that I got to come back to this podcast next Tuesday, right here, and ask people to buy my necklaces and all this stuff because I'm not going to be a billionaire because free energy. They don't need oil anymore. It's free energy. 747s ain't going to be worth nothing. Cars, everything run on fuel isn't worth nothing. Now, I'm not happy, but the old folks around us is laughing because their legacy is changing Mother Earth. They're going to save Greenpeace or whatever. What the hell you think me and you going to talk about? Because I'm for the wisdom. There's 3 of us in this room. Me, you, and the security guard at the door. All of us is who we are. And so I'm going to whisper in your ear like, Ron, in fact, let me get my voice on.
Hey, bro. I can't let them bro, we supposed to be billionaires and we finna give up our money and let him give away some free energy because he's from planet Zero? Hell, yeah.
And Ron is going to say, no, bro, I ain't with that either, man. And he's going to get deeper. And so the plot begins because I'm going to look at the security guard and I'm going to wink my eye and let him know that he's going to get paid if he locks the door because that alien ain't getting out. We ain't telling nobody about no free energy. You get what I'm saying? Ron and I and the rest of us is for to shut that down because we want to be billionaires. See, this is what already has happened. This is why alien technology, if they come to save Earth, why we don't hear about it. If they come here and tell you they got a cure for this, they can give us a cure for that. They can save this. We don't need money. We can grow this and all this. And there's a $1 trillion industry behind it. People that live in big house. Do you think for an instant that one of them is going to say, tell us? No, you're going to tell me, but it's not going to happen. They're not, you're going to say, so he's gone. He's whacked off. Me and Ron and the security, he's gone. The old people are not going to really care. They're going to be shocked, surprised, because they still got their money. We're going to get paid. You get what I'm saying? We're going to get paid. Now, here's the tricker. Here's why they're not going to save us. Because back on planet Xeon is other aliens, and they're in a group setting, and they're going, all right, yeah, we want to go save the Earthlings. There's just such a beautiful species, and, they don't know any better. Who's going to go and teach them how to make free water and everything else? Who's going to teach? And one of them is putting his hand up that he's going to go to Earth to tell us how we can get free water. But one of his friends said, put your hand down. He go, why? You know what happened to Akbar? They killed him. You get what I'm saying? Now ain't nobody coming. Giggle's like, and then we got any volunteers? No, the last time we sent somebody to go save those Earthlings, they whacked him. John and Roderick whacked Akbar because he was trying to give away free energy. You get what I'm saying? This is what happens. That's why I'm telling you, there ain't nobody coming to save us. They tried it and been there and done it. They got silenced, shut up, or whatever. Now they're coming to inspect and abduct and test and genetic modify because it's a zoo. You get what I'm saying? All right. So let me know if you like my little analogy story. Give me a 1 again if you like my little story. I just wanted to tell you why they're not coming to save us. That's just my personal antidote of why my story, Roderick Martin, Truth versus Authority. You can believe it or not. I will tell you to believe it. But let me know if you enjoyed the story and pretty much. And if you're going to come over to my personal channel and subscribe to the channel and pretty much. But that's just the way I see the world. They're just not going to do it. It's not going to happen. Not even close. All right. So we got some ones. Thank y'all for tonight. And again, I'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. on my personal channel, Roderick Martin, Truth versus Authority. So if you do go and sub tonight, and you can go back and binge watch on some other videos and everything else. And once again, if you decide to cash out your telephone number and name, I'm going to call you and we're going to send you out your Luminance pendant. Or you can go to our store, download some stuff, buy some t-shirts or anything. Just support the show. It's a community show because we're not going to get it. Ron and I, we're not going to get invited to Exxon. We're just not going to do it. All right. So, all right, Ron, peace out. Each and every one of you. See y'all tomorrow. Ron said a 2. You didn't like the story? Come on, bro. It was me. Oh, because you was in it. You're not gonna whack the guy for $1 billion, trillions of dollars. Come on, man. Your great grandkids, if you called on the phone and you call your grandkids and said, hey, I can get $1 billion, but we gotta whack this alien, the kids are gonna show up. You get what I'm saying? They're gonna show up with some hot pockets and little laser guns. They're gonna be like, granddad, shoot right here. You gotta hit the zombie right there. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna be in on it. Everybody's gonna be in. Somebody talking about money means nothing. You know, I'm just giving y'all, I'm telling you, it meant a lot to the people that's already. But anyway, I love each and every one of you. See y'all tomorrow. And if you're coming, bye-bye.
Why did Ruby shoot Oswald? Was there a conspiracy?
In a world shrouded in darkness and obscured by deception from the big secret keepers, a burning question ignites in the hearts and minds of truth seekers. Why? Let's dive into the abyss of the unknown. Challenge the limits of our understanding.
This bizarre sequence of double killings raised great questions. Who actually fired the shot that killed Kennedy?
Pierce the veil of secrecy.
Cattle found dead and the manner of their deaths are a real mystery.
Anyone who is concerned about lead in the drinking water in Flint.
And venture into the realm of conspiracies and extraterrestrial evidence.
A huge explosion now, raining debris on all of us. We better get out of the way.
Let us consider the question, why the big secret?